So today in this video, I want to talk to you about my thoughts on Terminator Genisys. This was basically considered the fifth installment of the Terminator franchise. Although after reading some articles about Terminator Genisys, this was considered actually a soft reboot. And as I was watching, okay, let me just say firstly that I was not a fan of Terminator Genisys myself. I thought there were some interesting scenes, but I think it just went too much. Like, I got really confused, and I think that has to do with the fact that it's been a different director, and this franchise has been bought out and licensed from different companies. So I mean, that's one of the things you have to expect. But with Genisys, at the beginning, I thought it was cool. They were showing the future. They were in 2029, where the Resistance was fighting the Skynet. But then it just went crazy. It went went to a point where Genisys was about alternate timelines, and I don't want to give anything away, but you basically John Connor is the bad guy now, and I thought that was an interesting twist, but the way they went about it was just, I felt like I was everywhere, and I was just trying to understand what was going on, because they mentioned that a reprogrammed T-800 was saving Sarah back in 1973 when she was 9, and so it goes back. The beginning of Genisys kind of goes back to the first Terminator. And so it just, for me, it was a little confusing as I was watching. I also felt like, the action scenes were a little bit cheesy. I mean, you have the helicopter fight scene, and then they're on a bus. And I just felt like they did too much with it in terms of the action. I think one of the great things about the Terminator, I think the first one that made it really good, was it wasn't so much crazy action. I mean, there was a police shootout. There was the fight, in that factory. Of course, and then you had, of course, the chase. But now it seems like with Terminator Genisys, and even, I guess you could say, when it started, I guess with T2 even, is the kind of the action just is going too much. I mean, the plane, the helicopter, it's just too epic, in my opinion. I also did not expect to see acting by, what's her name? Emilia Clarke. Like, I did not expect that. I felt like they really made her look, she looks like a younger version of Sarah Connor, and the way they did her, her suit really looked like Sarah Connor did in T2. But I just was really kind of like surprised, because I was, a year ago today, I was watching a romance movies where she was in. I saw her last in what was that movie? Me Before You, I think it was Me Before You. Yeah, Me Before You from 2016. So it's just kind of interesting that I couldn't really take her from the romance and then seeing her in this. But I think her acting was okay. But another thing I didn't really like about Terminator Genisys was, I appreciated the jokes, but it was just kind of like, I feel like they were just plopped in there. They like, in Terminator 3, it was for some reason it was good. It wasn't too much, but like in Terminator Genisys, they were just like kind of like just put there, and it just seems like it detracted from the whole point of what makes Terminator movies so great, is that dark, eerie kind of mood. And I don't think we ever saw that again. I think, honestly, Terminator 1 was I haven't seen Dark Fate yet, so I've seen all of them except for Dark Fate, but I will tell you this now. I think the original Terminator is probably, for me, the best one, just because it really set the mood of the Terminator, the emotionless things. With these movies, the newer movies, they were adding comedy, and I just didn't think it fit with the whole Terminator theme. So that was something I didn't really like about Genesis. And Genesis, I mean, it didn't get really good. I mean, it made a profit in the box office, but it was, not what was seen. Just out of all the ones I've seen, this has to be my least favorite. And I just think it's because it went so crazy with the timeline. It was more confusing. Like, see, when they went for the timeline thing in Genesis, it was just too confusing. The twist was fine, but the timeline, the alternate timeline, made things, where I had to think more. Whereas in Terminator 1, it was just easy. It was going from the future to the past. Now this is like, this Genesis, you have to think more. This is like the past, then it's an alternate, timeline, alternate realities. So it's like, oh. So yeah, I mean, some of the reasons when I know when I don't like a movie is I'll be pausing it, just seeing how much time is left to watch, and I kind of did that 3 times. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I personally, out of all the Terminators I've watched so far, this is my least favorite of them all. But yeah, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on this one. I feel like, that Arnold, I feel like just because Arnold was in this one, I don't think it made it better. I don't think Arnold being in Genesis, makes this better. I mean, I don't consider myself a huge fan, like a Terminator fan per se, but I don't think him being in it made it better, honestly. Because the role he kind of played as Pops, it just didn't feel like him, It was just, I don't know. I prefer Salvation over this one. So far, this one is my least favorite, but I'm glad I've seen it and did a little reading about it. But yeah, it was just, I mean, the story, the loops, and the timeline. Like at the beginning, I was thinking, "Cool, this is awesome," But then it kind of switched it up too much. The twist was okay, but then the switch up with the timelines was, I couldn't do it because I found myself not really understanding. As I was watching, I was just thinking of trying to make sense of the movie instead of enjoying it. So I think that they went too much with that. So hopefully Dark Fate, apparently Dark Fate is more considered the third installment after T2. But I was kind of surprised to hear that James Cameron liked Genesis. I mean, he thought it was great from what I read. But I really think, for me personally, this one was my least favorite. I don't even know what to say about it because the only thing I can think about was how bad the thing was with the alternate timelines. It just felt like they tried to do too much. They tried to twist it too much. So, I mean, the good things was it was good to see Arnold, I guess, but his role in the movie would just seem kind of cheesy. Like, he, like even the fact that he survived at the end because he fell in the alloy. I just didn't like that. Well, guys, I had to give you my honest review. I'm not gonna lie. I did not enjoy this one, but I am watching them all. So next is Dark Fate. Let me know what you think about it. I'm always happy to discuss the movie. But yeah, it was just kind of confusing for me, and it definitely doesn't live up to the first 2 or 3. But I had to pick. I'll take Salvation over Genesis. It may be unpopular, but that's what I think. So guys, thank you for hearing me on this video, and let me know what you think as well. Till next time, catch you guys later.